Hey everyone. Well, we're moving to consensus, and so I want to take a couple of minutes here just to help you get started. But first, let me say thanks for all the great work that you've done in independent review. I had a chance to look at some of the work that you've done, and there's really some great stuff out there. I appreciate all the time and effort that you put into it. If you're new to this process, that could have been a little bit frustrating to you, but hopefully you learned something, and I think it'll get easier for you as we move into the next couple of phases of this work. So this is consensus, the consensus phase. And your team leader is going to do a couple of things today to get you ready for that, to get your team ready for that. Number one, they're actually going to do a transition in Boss to move your team's scorebook into a consensus scorebook. And this will be not just your work in here, this will be the whole team's work in here. That's the difference between independent review. So I'll walk through maybe some of the differences that you're going to see in the consensus scorebook in Boss and help you get started in your role as an item lead. So first of all, when you log into Boss, you see it looks a little bit different, but some similarities as well. You see an overview tab, and again, that's just kind of some key information about what's going on. Conflict of interest, no need to worry about that. Key factors tab. Your team leader is going to load up a set of key factors that the team is going to use in their work from this point forward. So you'll see those in there. That's one of the jobs that the team leader has today, is to load those key factors up, and that's what you'll use going forward. Now, if you had something different in your key factors, you saw a key factor that you think is just really important, let your team leader know, and you all can talk that through and get that in there if you need to. Key themes tab, no need to worry about that right now. CR worksheets tab, we're going to come back to that because this is where the meat of our work is going to be in consensus. So let me come back to that. Scorebook progress, this is a tab where you're going to see everybody who's been assigned as the lead, item lead, for each item. So come in here, once your team leader lets you know which item you are responsible for, just make sure that you've got your name in the lead category in here. And then score summary is something that you'll use as the team moves forward and progresses. Okay, so that's a little bit different. Team files or team files, you should see all the team file stuff in there. And again, that's a great way to transfer information, a great portal area. So team files or team files. Let me come back to CR worksheets. CR worksheets, kind of like the IR worksheets that you did, with one major difference. And so let me talk about those. First of all, so we got our tabs, we got our key factors, we got strengths, opportunities for improvement, and score. So as you know, in our 6-step process, what we're going to do is we're going to read the criteria, right? We're going to use that same 6-step process throughout our work, but certainly in consensus, we're going to come back to that 6-step process. We're going to read the criteria item that we're responsible for. So if I'm responsible for 1.1, I'm going to get grounded in that criteria, and then I'm going to think through what are those key factors that are relevant for this item. And so this is just like independent review, except for I don't have any in the test set up here, so I can't do it, but you'll add those key factors. And again, your team leader is going to add up or going to input a set of key factors that the team's going to use. Once you click on strengths, though, the screen gets a lot different from what you saw in independent review. So the big difference is this section down here where it says independent review inputs. This is Boss's way of consolidating all the work that every team member did in their independent review and bringing it together for you to do your consensus work. So you'll see a couple of tabs down here. One of them is a strengths tab, and of course these are all the strengths from all your team members. One is the opportunities for improvement tab, and again, all the opportunities for improvement from your team members. And then scores, and these are the scores that your team members had in independent review. So let me talk about each one of those. So strengths, again, listing all the strengths that every one of your team members had in their independent review scorebook. Your job as the item lead in consensus is to represent your team's perspective of that item. So your job is to pick out the best 4 to 6 strengths and opportunities for improvement based on the work that your team did in independent review. And here's where the quality of the independent review work really comes into play, because If the team did a great job in independent review, then you've got great work to use in consensus. If not, you'll have to make up for that effort. So all the strengths are listed, and again, all the opportunities for improvement are listed. Let me give you some tips on how you might start to consolidate and synthesize the work from the team. First of all, in this view right here, you can sort this in a few different ways. Probably the most commonly used way to sort this is by this item reference field. And so what I see a lot of examiners do at the national level is sort it by item reference, because they're looking for commonality by criteria item here. So for example, there might be 4 team members that had something to say about A1. So that might be a way you look through that and say, oh, well, all the team members had something to say about what this organization does to set the mission. And so you might start to craft a strength comment around that observation. So you can sort it by item reference. Another way you can do it is come up here to this view, and you can actually download this. And when you download, it's going to download it into a Word file. So if you're very skilled in sorting and so forth in Word, this might be a better way for you to look at this. So what you're wanting to do is just find ways to group things that look like they're in common from your team members' independent review work. Okay, so you can do that for strengths, you can do that for OFIs, and again, what you're looking for are common themes, common threads down here that you're going to use to craft some strengths and opportunities for improvement. So let me talk about those. So just like in independent review, when you add a strength observation, you're going to click that button. You're going to click the item reference. In this case, let's do this. And here's where it gets to be a little bit different. In independent review, maybe you had an observation and some evidence. Kind of the same thing here, except we're gonna start to move toward something that looks like a feedback-ready comment. And again, I don't want to get hung up on feedback-ready comments, but we're going to have to write those at some point. So we might as well start getting the foundation of that ready here. So you're going to input, once you've identified your team's perspective of the strengths and OFIs, and I'll show you maybe some examples of how you might do that, you're going to add those in as strengths and opportunities for improvement. So what's going to go in this comment, what's going to go in this rationale, and what's going to go in this notes? Let me give you an example. I'm going to send you this. This is going to be available to you. But this is a example of an item worksheet in consensus. And of course, key factors are up here. This is no different than we had in independent review. But let's talk about this strengths and this observation and rationale. So what is going to go in this comment section is actually something that looks like a comment. Now, this is a pretty well written comment, at least historically in Baldrige, but it's really just given the nugget, or what it is that we think is really good, a little bit of evidence, and what's relevant. I'm going to tell you how we might approach that here in just a minute. But here's the comment. If this were a scorebook going to the applicant, this is what they would read. The rationale is kind of the why do we have that comment in there? And you can see a couple of things here. First of all, you can see that this team member has gone through and said, look, 7 of our team members recognize this as a strength. 1 of them had it as a double. And then here's the evidence. Here's the evidence from the application that makes this a strength. So you're going to want to have those 2 elements in there. First of all, give your team members an indication of who really agreed with this comment. So if you've got 10 team members, hey, look, 5 examiners on my team recognize this as a strength, and put that in there, and then give some evidence around that strength comment. Okay, let's talk about strength. And so this rationale, though, is going to go in this rationale section. This notes for all strength is maybe just a little bit extra explanation. I wouldn't worry about that too much right now. Let's focus on the comment. So comment, we're gonna start to move toward more feedback-ready comments, but I don't want to get hung up on that. So just like in independent review, what I'd like for you to do is just use common everyday language. So, for example, if you thought that this applicant has a really good method for setting their mission vision values. Just type it in there that way. Type in some examples from the application, and then tell me why this is important. And you can actually, this is important because it sets the direction for the organization, and they use it to align everyone. I don't know, something like that. But just use common everyday language, okay? Don't get hung up on what should be Baldrige-ish language. Just use the language you would use if you were sitting across the table from me trying to explain what this strength comment was. Same thing for opportunities for improvement, and so forth. Now when you get to the score is a little bit different. And so scoring, you're going to see, again, in these tabs over here, you're going to see the scores from all your team members. So when we score a consensus, we're not really using these team member scores too much. We might look at them to kind of see where each team member's frame of mind was when they were scoring this. But really, when you score this, you want to come back and do a complete score, a fresh score based on your strengths and opportunities for improvement, based on the consensus viewpoint of the team. So you're going to look at your strengths, you're going to look at your opportunities for improvement, and then you're going to come here and you're going to go through the scoring rationale once again, and you're going to find the best fit range, the best fit score, in your opinion, based on the consensus strengths and opportunities for improvement. Okay, so you're going to score it fresh and not really take an average of these team members' scores. So that's a comment on score. May help you, may not. I don't know. Ask questions about score if you need to. Do your best job on score. What I really want you to focus on, though, is using the team members' inputs, coming up with what you think is the consensus viewpoint of the team for strengths and opportunities for improvement, and putting in just some really in common sense language what you would tell the applicant about those strengths and opportunities for improvement. A couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, make sure that we're not prescriptive. Remember, we've got criteria that we're relying on. Make sure that whatever comment we have is based on the criteria. Secondly, make sure it's relevant. So you remember, we're doing a great job of getting to know this applicant. We're using our Criminal Minds profiling mindset. Make sure that we are seeing this through the eyes of the applicant. Make sure it's going to be really relevant to them. Give it a good so what. Why am I reading this if you're putting this in there? Why are you telling me this? Okay, so make sure it's not prescriptive, make sure it's criteria based, and make sure it's relevant to the applicant, and you'll do great. I think that's probably about all you'll need. I'm going to send you some attachments in an email that are going to give you just examples of how this works. If you've got any questions, though, drop me a note, let your team leader know. We got tons of folks here that are ready to support you, so don't spend a lot of time struggling with this. Reach out to any of us, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. Okay, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I really appreciate it. I think these are going to be really great feedback reports for these applicants. They're really going to appreciate it, and that's great because these are some really great organizations who are looking for ways to get better. So with that, I'm going to leave you on your own. I'm going to leave you in the hands of your team leader, and they are there to support you. So feel free to reach out if you need it.